In the ethereal realm of the Phoenix tribe, nestled within the mist-shrouded peaks of Phoenix Mountain, a story of reincarnation and hidden agendas begins to unfold. High above the mortal world, majestic palaces with sweeping tiled roofs pierce the clouds, their grandeur a testament to the power of the divine beings who reside there. Deep within a lush, verdant thicket, the tail of a small, white snake vanishes into the undergrowth with a faint rustle. This is the Phoenix Mountain Divine Palace, a place of celestial beauty and hushed whispers. Inside, glowing lanterns hang from ornate ceilings, casting a warm golden light upon dancers who move with sublime grace, their silk robes swirling like pale green mist. Yet amidst this splendor, gossip travels like the wind. A young woman, the fifth Princess Feng Wuyou, stands alone, her expression a mask of gentle melancholy as she overhears the hushed conversation of two officials. Speak of her, the once great noble of the Phoenix tribe, remarking how she seems to have become an entirely different person after her recent reincarnation. The rumor, spoken in secretive tones, is that Feng Wuyou lost her inner core, and though her immortal body was regenerated, all her cultivation and memories from the past 800 years have vanished into thin air. One of the men, covering his mouth in a gesture of feigned discretion, whispers to his companion, marveling at the very idea. He ponders how one could possibly be reincarnated without an inner core, declaring the Phoenix tribe to be truly remarkable. A servant girl with a kind face and hair adorned with a green ornament approaches the princess, her hands respectfully offering a small teacup. With a sweet, adoring smile, she addresses her as Your Highness, the fifth princess. Feng Wuyou turns, her large, ruby-red eyes seeming vacant and lost as she softly questions the servant's presence. The servant girl is utterly flabbergasted by this gentle response. Her mind reels, struck by a bolt of lightning, as she internally screams, questioning if this is truly the same Feng Wuyou. She wonders in utter shock since when her notoriously difficult princess became so gentle. Meanwhile, Feng Wuyou listens to this familiar line of questioning with mounting internal irritation. Since her reincarnation, she reflects with a scowl, she's had to endure these exact words hundreds of times. Her face darkens, a vein of annoyance throbbing on her forehead as she mentally shatters the teacup in her hand with a ferocious crack sound effect, her patience wearing thin. Her mind drifts back through time to the catalyst of her current predicament. 2 years ago, she remembers, she encountered an unexpected and devastating accident while she was outside. A vision flashes through her mind, a cascade of pink cherry blossoms falling against a full moon, a torrent of red glowing sigils swirling around her as she plummeted from the sky. Fortunately, she was saved by the immoral Master Lingzhu, who managed to reincarnate her using a mere fragment of her soul. She recalls waking up, her mind a complete blank, looking up at a handsome man with long dark hair who called her name, Wuyou. But upon waking, she realized the devastating truth. Not only had she lost her inner core, but all of her memories were gone as well. She was a stranger to herself, unable to even recognize her own family. A vision of her younger self, clad in simple white robes, her eyes wide with confusion and fear as red sigils swirled around her, haunts her memory. A kind but sorrowful face leans into view, a man with gentle eyes looking down at her. He had introduced himself with a soft voice, telling her that he was her elder brother and that he had come to bring her home. The word echoed in her disoriented mind, elder brother. As she reached a hesitant hand towards his, the image of Master Lingzhu appeared, his long white hair flowing as he confirmed the man's words. He had told her that the Phoenix tribe was her home and that she should return there. The mystery of that day still lingered regarding the unexpected incident. No one knew why she went outside that year or who had attacked her. To unravel the truth, her path became clear, a singular, burning objective that glowed like golden energy in the darkness of her mind. The only way forward was to find the inner core. Back in the present, her elder brother, his expression a mixture of concern and solemnity, calls her name Wuyou. He is Feng Zheng, the eldest prince. Wuyou looks up, addressing him softly as elder brother, her demeanor gentle and unassuming as they sit opposite each other at a small table. An attendant whispers to another that the young prince of the Gong Phoenix tribe used to be quite the show-off, spreading his tail in front of Wuyou, but now he seems scared by her, unable to adapt to her current, placid self. Her brother Feng Zheng takes a delicate sip of his drink, his eyes never leaving her face. He asks her a pointed question, wondering if her current self is truly good. His question hangs in the air, a clear sign that he misses her old, feistier personality. Wuyou's large red eyes widen slightly, and she sees a ghostly image of her past self, proud and confident, standing beside her current, more subdued form. Her brother sighs softly, a small smile gracing his lips as he reaches across the table to gently pat her head. He reassures her that no matter what, she's always the best. A genuine, heartwarming smile blooms on her face, and she agrees enthusiastically. In a cute, chibai-style fantasy, she thanks her elder brother, declaring she'll drink the entire pot of tea while he, with hands on his hips and a smug expression, internally boasts that no matter what, his little sister's drinking ability is always the strongest. Just as the tender family moment solidifies, a guard's voice cuts through the air, announcing that the dragon tribe's envoy has arrived. Wuyou is mid-sip, sighing contentedly when the announcement is made. A deep, formal voice follows, belonging to the third prince of the dragon tribe, wishing a happy birthday to the fifth princess of the Phoenix tribe. Wuyou's posture stiffens, her eyes turning towards the entrance. Feng Zheng's expression becomes sharp, his red eyes narrowing with intense displeasure at the news. Suddenly, a hand gently places itself on Wuyou's shoulder. It is her fourth brother, Feng Wuyou, a man with a roguish charm and long, dark hair. He tells his little sister, Zhao Wuyou, to come with him. He gestures with an elegant hand, a warm smile on his face, inviting her away from the impending formalities. Her elder brother, Feng Zheng, smoothly intervenes, telling her not to worry and that he will handle things here. He suggests she go outside for some fresh air with Zhao Si, referring to their fourth brother. Wuyou, holding a small pitcher, gratefully thanks her elder brother. Outside, under the bright sun, Wuyou follows Feng Wuyou through a picturesque courtyard. She finds him rustling around in the branches of a large tree, searching for something. She calls up to him, her voice filled with curiosity, asking her fourth brother what he is looking for. He peeks down, a playful glint in his eyes, and explains that the old Taoist from Minyokung has arrived and wants to give her a gift, and he asked him to call her out. He continues his search, explaining with competitive zeal that he wants to give her a gift before the old Taoist arrives, because he can't let him outdo him. He flies down from the tree with effortless grace and lands before her. With a triumphant grin, he reveals his prize, explaining that he went down to the mortal realm and found this old toy and eagerly asks how she likes it. He holds up a strange, lumpy white creature with a perpetually unimpressed expression on its face. Wuyou's eyes sparkle with delight and she immediately declares that yes, she likes it very much. She hugs the bizarre toy tightly, her face glowing with pure, unadulterated joy. Her brother pats her head, remarking with a knowing smile that he knew she would like these small, worthless, and particularly ugly toys. He tells her to keep it safe and not let their elder brother and the others see it, as they would mock his taste. Wuyou agrees, thanking her fourth brother for the thoughtful, if strange, gift. Just then, a figure approaches with a silent, almost ghostly step. An elderly man with a long white beard and flowing silver hair carrying a woven basket materializes before them. He greets her respectfully, addressing her as Your Highness, the fifth princess. Bystanders immediately recognize the esteemed guest, whispering that it is Master Lingzhu from Miao Lao Palace. They note how very kind he is to the fifth princess, even coming personally to congratulate her. Wuyou and her brother bow respectfully, offering greetings to Master Lingzhu, who dismisses the need for formalities. He gestures to the basket, telling her to quickly see if she likes his congratulatory gift. Her fourth brother, Feng Wuyou, leans in, his expression instantly contorting into one of comical horror as he exclaims, asking why on earth it's a snake. As the cloth is lifted, a small, pristine white snake is revealed, coiled peacefully in the basket, its eyes slowly open. Wuyou, however, is enchanted. Her eyes sparkle as she gently pokes the creature's head, murmuring how it's so cold and hairless and utterly cute. Inside the basket, the snake, Chu Feichi of the snake tribe, is utterly bewildered. His internal monologue is one of pure confusion, as he had just taken a nap on Phoenix Mountain on his way to find an enemy, only to wake up and find himself turned into a congratulatory gift. His eyes widen in sudden realization as he takes in his surroundings: the Phoenix Mountain Divine Palace, the territory of the Phoenix royal family. He looks at the girl celebrating her birthday and it all clicks into place. This girl must be the Phoenix Princess, Feng Wuyou. A fiery determination burns within him. He thinks that his search was fruitless everywhere else, yet here she is right before him. His eyes glow with a menacing light as he recalls his purpose. 2 years ago, she destroyed his cultivation and vanished without a trace, and now he has finally found her. Unaware of the serpent's vengeful thoughts, Wuyou turns to the old master, asking Lingzhu if she can keep it. Master Lingzhu smiles benevolently and tells her that of course she can. The little snake, hearing this, internally declares keep it, with a smug, triumphant expression. But Feng Wuyou is not pleased. He steps forward, his expression stern, telling Lingzhu that he must excuse his impudence, but the snake tribe is known for being cunning and deceitful with a lowly temperament. He demands to know why Lingzhu would give such a creature to Wuyou. Master Lingzhu simply strokes his long beard, a mysterious look in his eyes, and replies that it is a heavenly secret, one that cannot be revealed. Feng Wuyou is left speechless, while Wuyou looks between them, a hint of concern on her face as she murmurs her fourth brother's name. The snake in the basket simply watches them, remaining silent. Feng Wuyou relents with a sigh, stating that since Wuyou likes it, she should just keep it. At that moment, another figure strides into the courtyard, his presence commanding and severe. It's the elder brother Feng Zheng. He calls out to them, his gaze immediately falling on the snake. His voice is laced with cold disdain as he declares that a mere snake that can't even transform is not enough to threaten Wuyou. His eyes glow a menacing red as he issues a chilling ultimatum: if it dares to cause trouble, then kill it. But Wuyou is overjoyed. Her eyes sparkle with stars as she clutches the basket, completely ignoring her brother's threat and thinking to herself how truly arrogant her new pet is. That night, under the silvery light of a full moon, the divine palace is quiet. Inside her chambers, Wuyou sleeps peacefully, her breathing soft and even. The white snake, left on a small stool beside her bed, slithers down to the floor. Its eyes glow with an eerie blue light as it watches her. It has finally found its chance. Hissing with venomous intent, the snake declares that tonight is the day Feng Wuyou will die. With its mouth wide open, fangs bared, the snake lunges towards the sleeping princess's neck. But just as it is about to strike, a brilliant golden light erupts from a charm around Wuyou's neck. The snake recoils in shock, realizing it's a protective artifact. A whip of pure golden energy lashes out from the charm, striking the snake with incredible force and sending it flying across the room with a painful smack. The energy crackles and surges, and in a blinding flash of light, the snake is transformed. Where the small creature lay, a tall, handsome man with flowing silver hair and piercing green eyes now stands, encased in crackling blue energy. But the artifact's power is not finished. Golden ropes of light shoot out, binding him tightly, gagging him and neutralizing his power. He struggles against the celestial bonds, his eyes blazing with fury. He internally screams at the hateful Feng Wuyou, remembering how 2 years ago she destroyed his cultivation and ruined his ascension, and now today she still wants to kill him again. Just then, the girl in the bed stirs, mumbling some nonsense in her sleep before turning. The snake-turned man, Chu Feichi, freezes, a bead of sweat running down his temple as he wonders in disbelief if this kid hasn't woken up after all that commotion. He continues to struggle futilely against his bonds. But Wuyou's eyes snap open, gleaming with a sharp, crimson light in the darkness. She was never asleep. She thinks to herself that it seems what she raised is not a pet, but a lifelong enemy. However, she muses with a cunning smile, an enemy might understand better than anyone what happened to her back then. Since returning to the Phoenix tribe, she has been secretly searching for clues, but there hasn't been any breakthrough. This snake, she realizes, came at just the right time. If she follows its trail, she is sure to find the truth. With a sly grin, she looks at the struggling man and mentally announces that she will help him remove the celestial rope, telling the silly little snake that there's no need to thank her. She snaps the protective charm around her neck, and the golden ropes binding Chu Feichi instantly pop and vanish. Freedom, he smirks, thinking it was just a small celestial rope. But his relief is short-lived. A wave of exhaustion hits him and his stomach growls as his body begins to shrink uncontrollably. He realizes with horror that his magic power isn't enough to maintain a half-human form. He reverts back to his small snake form, looking haggard and panting from the exertion. He peeks over the edge of the bed, his tiny eyes focusing on the sleeping princess. He thinks that luckily she hasn't woken up yet, so he still has a chance. He coils himself up on her pillow, startled when her hand suddenly moves and lifts his head. His tiny snake body sweats with panic. Oh no, he thinks. The next morning, Wuyou looks down at him with wide, innocent eyes, asking the little snake why he is injured. She feigns concern, wondering aloud if it could be from when she pushed him to the ground last night. The snake can only stare up at her, a single bead of sweat on his head. It lets out a weak hiss, which she interprets as it calling her a foolish phoenix. Her act of kindness is flawless. She immediately calls for her attendant Magpie, telling her the little snake is injured and to take it to the doctor at once. Magpie enters the room and dutifully replies, "Yes, fifth princess," as Wuyou stands by, the picture of a concerned pet owner. The snake is placed back in its basket, hissing weakly as Magpie carries him away. Later, Wuyou is seen by a window where a small mountain sparrow chirps on the sill. The sparrow hops onto her vanity table, pecking at seeds. Wuyou asks if Master called the mountain sparrow here to help the little snake. She leans forward, a shrewd glint in her red eyes, and explains her thoughts to the bird. At first, she thought it was just a normal little snake, one that could be like the sparrow, helping her gather information everywhere. But who would have thought, she says with a dark smile, that it came to take revenge on her? The little sparrow squawks in shock, exclaiming how such a cute master could possibly have any grudges with him. Wuyou's smile turns predatory as she rubs the now broken protective charm. She tells the sparrow that in this world, there are many who pretend to be cute to hide their true nature. The sparrow immediately agrees, adding that it's right, just like Master. Wuyou, depicted in a cute chibai form, points a commanding finger at the bird and gives it an order. From now on, it is to secretly follow the snake and report anything unusual to her immediately. The sparrow salutes, promising it understands. The snake, meanwhile, is being pampered with a sumptuous feast. It happily munches on the delicious food, its body wrapped in a clean white bandage. A voice calls out, "Little sister," and Wuyou looks up to see two of her other brothers approaching. The third brother, Fenki, and the second brother, Fenk, who is blindfolded and sits in an ornate chair. Fenki remarks that they saw her snake applying medicine at the physician's place, yet it didn't greet them. Wuyou waves her hand dismissively, explaining that she's afraid opening its mouth would scare them to death. Fenk adds that the snake hasn't become a spirit yet, so it's normal that it doesn't know how to speak. He then holds out a small, glowing bottle, telling his little sister that this is for her. Wuyou takes the bottle, curiously asking her second brother what it is. The snake perks up, thinking it must be a good thing. Fenki explains that their second brother's eyes haven't healed for a long time, and over the years he has accompanied him everywhere to find doctors, accumulating quite a few magical pills all for her. Wuyou looks at her second brother with deep affection, thinking that he is such a good person and will surely have the fortune to restore his eyes someday. Fenki then places a comforting hand on her shoulder, his expression turning somber as he apologizes on behalf of himself and their second brother, saying they have wronged her. He explains that they were always outside, so when she was in trouble 2 years ago, they couldn't return in time, making her suffer. The snake, listening in, internally scoffs, thinking that he's the one who suffered. Wuyou shakes her head, her expression bright and reassuring. She tells her brothers there's no need to blame themselves, explaining that cultivators follow the way of heaven and their fate is something no one can interfere with. Besides, she adds with a radiant smile, isn't everything okay with her now? She lovingly touches the little snake, saying that she has loved ones who care for her and a little snake to accompany her, which is more important than anything. The snake is momentarily stunned into silence by her gentle touch. Wuyou, however, suddenly feels a prickle on the back of her neck, a sense of being watched that makes her feel unwell. The snake also looks up, sensing a hostile presence. It is their fourth brother, Feng Wuyou, who has arrived unnoticed. The snake's eyes narrow, recognizing the man's hostility from the day before and reminding itself to be careful of him. Fengqi immediately moves to hide Wuyou behind him, addressing their fourth brother. Feng Wuyou's gaze is sharp and accusatory as he states that her protective charms have been broken and at the same time the snake was injured. He leans closer, his voice low and serious, asking her if she doesn't think there's something suspicious about all this. Wuyou feigns confusion while the snake breaks into a cold sweat. The snake's mind races. It knows that with its current power, it's still not strong enough to break her protective charms, and last night it was just the two of them in the room. A shocking possibility dawns on him as he stares at her from the side. Could it be she did it herself? Wuyou, however, plays the part of the innocent sister perfectly. With a pout, she tells her brother that it's just an immature little snake. She gestures to her pet, asking how a creature with no magical power could possibly destroy her sister's protective charm. She then turns to the snake, cooing at it, asking if that's right. She then offers a plausible, self-deprecating explanation, suggesting that perhaps she accidentally broke the necklace herself. She asks her fourth brother if he has any way to fix it. Feng Wuyou sighs, shaking the broken charm in his hand and dismissing it as a low-level protective charm. He promises to make her a better one another day. Wuyou's eyes light up and she excitedly holds up the snake, exclaiming that the silly little snake wants a protective charm too. But her innocent expression masks a wicked thought. It would be best to have a protective charm that can obey its master, controlled by the owner. Feng Wuyou is aghast, asking Wuyou if she knows how precious the Phoenix clan's protective charms are. The snake rolls its eyes, thinking to itself, TCH, as if they're so rare. Wuyou's eyes fill with crocodile tears. She tells her fourth brother that her spiritual energy is depleted, so she can't help anyone and can only take care of the spirit beasts in the palace. She adds with a quiver in her voice that at least she isn't completely useless and unable to do anything. This guilt trip works perfectly. Feng Wuyou panics, waving his hands frantically and insisting that he didn't mean that. Their third brother Fengqi steps in to comfort her, telling his little sister not to be sad and that her being healthy is the biggest help for them. Wuyou wipes away a fake tear, her smile returning as she thinks how great it is to have big brothers. Fengjing and Fengqi sigh in unison, completely taken in by her act. Feng Wuyou pats her head affectionately, promising that he's going now and will go make a protective charm for her. As he and another attendant walk away over a bridge, Wuyou calls after him, asking him to make two. She clarifies that she wants one for the master and one for the servant, the kind that can sense each other. As he walks away, the snake overhears Feng Wuyou's suspicious thoughts. This Feng Wuyou, how can she cry and beg for a protective charm for a snake? There must be something fishy about this. How can she be so naive? The snake watches them go, its expression grim and determined. Later that afternoon, Wuyou finds herself worrying. While she was feeding the other spirit beasts, she wonders what that silly little snake was up to. It hadn't moved all afternoon, and she worries that its wounds have gotten worse, preventing it from moving. A little sparrow on her shoulder chirps, sharing her very worried sentiment. She enters her silent room, calling out for the little snake. She finds it lying limply on the floor. She gasps, rushing over and crying out its name, "Silly little snake." She scoops it up, her voice filled with panic as she asks why its breathing is so weak. She holds the limp snake in her hands, her face a mask of genuine-looking fear. The snake puts on a masterful performance, looking feeble, pitiful, helpless, and even lets out a few pathetic sobs. Wuyou holds it close, trying to comfort it, telling it not to be afraid and that it's just a small wound that will heal quickly. The snake, however, is secretly plotting. It thinks about how Phoenix Mountain is full of divine herbs, and the Phoenix clan's elixirs will surely be of great help for one's cultivation. Only by deliberately making the wound worse will there be a chance to use those precious medicines. Wuyou, meanwhile, is also thinking. She wonders why it has become like this. Logically speaking, the doctor has already treated it once, so the wound shouldn't be this serious. The snake looks up at her with big, teary eyes, internally calling her a stupid phoenix. She seems to understand its pleading gaze, asking if it means these medicines might be useful. She holds up a small pouch of glowing pills as the snake nods eagerly. But then, Wuyou's expression darkens, a sinister smile spreading across her face as she realizes the truth. It was pretending for so long because it wanted to trick her into giving it medicine. She holds out the pills, asking if it wants to eat it. The snake is overcome with joy, thinking finally. But she hesitates, tapping her chin thoughtfully and saying that her spiritual power is very weak, so she can't distinguish all the elixirs. She wonders aloud if these will have any effect on its wound before casually popping one into her mouth. Her eyes widen in comical horror as she clamps a hand over her mouth, realizing her mistake. It's over. The snake is frozen in a state of shock, its body rigid and a crown of surprise appearing over its head. Wuyou laughs nervously, telling the snake that she thinks she just gave it the wrong medicine. It was poison. The snake's world shatters. It convulses, thinking that this Feng Wuyou is really not simple at all. It internally screams for the antidote. Wuyou grabs the writhing snake with one hand. cheerfully suggesting that there must be an antidote in the bag and they should just try them all. She shakes the poor creature vigorously, declaring that snakes are people too. What follows is a series of disastrous experiments. A beauty-preserving medicine makes the snake sparkle and grow a flower on its head. An invisibility potion turns it into a dotted outline, and a voice-clarifying medicine makes it grow. The grand chamber was bathed in the warm light of the afternoon, illuminating the intricate patterns on the rug where a small, pure white snake lay coiled, letting out a series of agitated hisses. Its panic was palpable, its tiny mind racing with a single thought: it had been exposed. In a desperate attempt to maintain its disguise, it could only continue hissing. Across from it, the fifth princess, Feng Wuyou, sat with an innocently sweet smile playing on her lips. In her hands, she held what appeared to be two identical shaking snakes, a clever illusion meant to unnerve her little companion. She tilted her head, her voice like honeyed bells, as she asked what was wrong and why he had suddenly stopped talking. Her crimson eyes, sparkling with mischief, narrowed slightly as she leaned closer, offering with a sly tone to help him with his predicament. Before the snake could react, it was suddenly enveloped in a blinding sphere of golden light, its serpentine body flailing in a comical display of shock and confusion. Feng Wuyou, her expression serene, gracefully raised a hand wreathed in ethereal green and gold flames, explaining that her second brother had told her his spirit hadn't awakened yet, which was why he was unable to speak. She continued, her voice filled with a promise of power, explaining that if she helped stimulate his spiritual roots, he would undoubtedly be able to cultivate his own power and perhaps even achieve immortality in the far future. Though she paused ominously after mentioning there was a catch. With a touch of concern softening her features, she confessed that this was her very first time using this particular magic, and gently urged him to speak up if he felt any discomfort. The snake, trapped within the radiant orb, was caught in a cruel dilemma. His internal monologue was a torrent of frustration. Speaking up would mean admitting he had deceived the kind Feng Wuyou all along, but staying silent meant enduring whatever torture her amateur magic would inflict. He cursed her in his heart, branding her a truly cruel phoenix. A shadow of determination crossed Feng Wuyou's face as she acknowledged to herself that her magical power was unfortunately limited, so he would simply have to get through this. With a delicate and precise snap of her fingers, she commanded the magic to withdraw, the shimmering light and dancing flames dissolving into a shower of glittering particles. Leaning down with hopeful eyes, she gently asked the little snake if he could speak now. She lifted him into her hands, her face alight with a brilliant, expectant smile. The poor snake, however, was completely drained, hanging from her fingers like a wet noodle, a wisp of smoke curling from its mouth in a sign of utter exhaustion. In the privacy of its mind, it sobbed, declaring its undying hatred for all phoenixes. Feng Wuyou's bright smile faltered, replaced by a look of gentle disappointment. She mused aloud, her voice soft with self-doubt, that perhaps her magic was not yet refined enough to properly stimulate his spiritual roots. Or maybe, she considered with a pensive frown, she had simply misheard his voice earlier. As if in response, the snake began to squirm weakly in her grasp, its cartoonishly large eyes welling up with gigantic, glistening tears of pure misery. He looked up at her, his entire being a portrait of silent, teary suffering, letting out a few pathetic hisses. The little creature then began to nudge her hand with its head, a desperate, silent plea for help. Feng Wuyou, interpreting his hisses with deep concern, asked if he was trying to say that his wound was hurting. The snake's mind screamed in frantic agreement, clarifying internally that thanks to her well-intentioned but painful help, he felt like he was about to die from the agony. The realization struck Feng Wuyou like a bolt of lightning. In a moment of comedic panic, she created a sudden gap by withdrawing her hand, letting the poor snake plummet through the— It landed with a soft, undignified thud on the table below. In an instant, she transformed into a mortified chibi version of herself, her face a canvas of pure guilt as she cried out that it was all her fault. The little snake, now on the table, began spewing a vibrant rainbow from its mouth in a classic display of cartoonish distress, while Feng Wuyou, still in her tiny, panicked form, gently patted its back. Suddenly, an idea illuminated her mind, and she recalled a legendary thousand-year-old divine herb. A vision of a majestic, cloud-wreathed green mountain filled her thoughts as she explained her plan. She remembered the existence of a divine herb called heart lotus grass, located in the secret realm of Phoenix Mountain. With renewed purpose shining in her determined red eyes, she declared that it could cure any and all illnesses, and she would go find it for him right away. Just as her resolve solidified, her faithful bird companion, Shanjiu, fluttered in front of her, flapping his little wings in a panic. He implored his master to reconsider, warning her that her magical power was still weak and that the secret realm was guarded by 3 divine phoenixes, making the journey extremely dangerous. He begged her not to go, but Feng Wuyou's gaze was fixed on the limp form of her little snake, her expression unyielding. She stated with unwavering conviction that she was the one who had caused him to be in this state, and for his sake she had to go. The snake looked up from the table, a tiny question mark materializing beside its head, completely bewildered by her fierce devotion. The snake's mind reeled. Was she truly going to such dangerous lengths for him? Shanjiu, seeing he couldn't change her mind, puffed out his chest and declared that he was coming with her. But Feng Wuyou was already gone, a determined silhouette disappearing from view. The snake watched her depart from a nearby window, a cold calculation forming in his mind. He considered that Feng Wuyou's magical power wasn't very high. Even if he were to kill her on this perilous journey, the people of Phoenix Mountain might not be able to trace it back to him. He decided to recover some of his own magical power first, coiling possessively around a small red pouch of elixirs, and then he would decide what to do. Standing on the edge of a windswept, grassy cliff, Feng Wuyou instructed Shanju to hide well and not emerge unless she gave the order. The little bird peeked out from behind her, his voice trembling as he asked if this plan wasn't far too dangerous. Feng Wuyou's gaze was fixed on a faint sparkle in the cliff face far below as she cryptically quoted a proverb, explaining that sometimes one must risk the bait to catch the predator. With a soft rustle of leaves, she concealed herself in the nearby bushes. Moments later, the snake, now grown to a monstrous size, slithered through the undergrowth, its turquoise eyes scanning the area. It wondered why she was alone, questioning the whereabouts of that fat little bird. Spotting her small form shuffling near the cliff's edge, it recognized a golden opportunity that was too good to miss. With a terrifyingly fast swoosh, it lunged forward, striking her from behind and sending her tumbling over the precipice. Feng Wuyou's eyes flew open in the midst of her fall, but there was no fear in them, only a sharp, focused thought. Now was the time. Above her, the giant snake roared in triumph from the cliff edge. Feng Wuyou let out a scream as she plummeted, not of terror, but of effort, as a maelstrom of green magical energy and shattering rock erupted around her. The swirling green energy formed a protective vortex, and through the chaos, a small form shot towards her, grabbing her wrist tightly in its mouth. It was the snake, miraculously shrunk back to his original size. Feng Wuyou looked up, her expression a beautiful mix of shock and radiant joy, as she asked if he could change his size and if he had come to save her because she was in danger. The snake's mind, however, was a storm of pure rage. It screamed internally that the gods might have come to save her, but he had come to kill her. With a great inhale, he began to absorb the swirling green magic that surrounded them. As the vortex of power dissipated into the abyss, Feng Wuyou cried out for the little snake to be careful. He shrank rapidly, reverting to his small, vulnerable form as they both continued their perilous descent, chunks of rock crashing down all around them. The small snake was buffeted by the falling debris, and Feng Wuyou watched in horror, her jaw clenched and her red eyes filled with pained determination as she gritted her teeth against the sight. She reached the grand banquet hall, is filled with the low murmur of conversation and the clinking of fine porcelain, but a palpable tension simmers beneath the surface. A guest holding a fan to obscure his pointed words remarks on the long-standing engagement between the fifth princess of the Phoenix tribe and the Dragon tribe, noting that their two families are practically one. However, his tone shifts to one of disdain as he questions how the fifth princess could dare to bring a rough and incompetent snake to such a royal event. His eyes filled with contempt as he internally muses that the dragon tribe remains as arrogant and shameless as ever. Across the table, the fifth princess, Feng Wuyou, gently strokes her small white snake, a serene smile on her face that belies the undercurrents of the room. She explains with a light, almost teasing voice that at first she had planned to raise a dragon but couldn't manage to catch one. Her gaze, sharp and intelligent, lands on the third prince as she sweetly asks if he has any way to help her. Her simple question is a masterfully crafted jab, making the onlookers wonder about her intentions. An observer, her cheeks full of food, internally questions why Feng Wuyou seems to have a poor impression of the dragon tribe, especially considering her fiancé is among them. The third prince, Xian King, narrows his golden eyes, a flicker of annoyance crossing his handsome features as he analyzes her words. He thinks to himself, questioning what she could possibly be thinking. He wonders if she's lost her mind from the injury she sustained 2 years ago to even consider catching a dragon to keep as a pet. Composing himself instantly, he brings a fan to his lips, his expression smoothing into one of amused charm as he dismisses her comment. He replies smoothly that the fifth princess must be joking, for the great dragon tribe has never been kept as mere pets. Another guest adds that the spirit beasts accompanying Feng Wuyou are all friends of the Phoenix tribe, not slaves. A man with a blindfold explains that he didn't mean any offense, merely that he feels the Phoenix tribe is quite generous. His companion agrees, adding that if they weren't so generous, they would have been provoked by others long ago. He mentions that he and his second brother heard quite a few rumors on their way back, with some people claiming the Phoenix tribe's current prosperity relies on their connection to the dragon tribe. Now that the fifth sister is injured, he speculates the second prince of the dragon tribe will definitely annul the engagement. Xian King, overhearing this, takes a calm sip from his cup and answers the unasked question, stating with absolute certainty that of course they will not annul the engagement. Hearing this, Feng Wuyou's bright red eyes cloud over with a visible wave of disappointment. Her internal thoughts are a sigh of resignation. She had actually hoped he would come to annul the engagement, and she thinks to herself what a pity it is that he won't. Her crestfallen expression does not go unnoticed. Xian King observes her, a thoughtful, almost suspicious look in his eyes as he wonders why Feng Wuyou looks so regretful upon hearing that the dragon tribe isn't breaking things off. His mind races, realizing that her reaction is completely different from what he understood of her before. He internally accuses her, believing she must surely know the dragon tribe's ascension is connected to the snake tribe, and that she deliberately harmed him at the last moment of the trial, causing him to lose all his cultivation. He concludes that she clearly knows how to pamper her fiancé from the dragon tribe. Meanwhile, the little white snake, Chu Feichi, is utterly startled by the turn of events. He perks up, his eyes wide with shock as a dreadful thought occurs to him. If they don't annul the engagement, does that mean they are urging the wedding to happen? Xian King then addresses Feng Wuyou directly, his voice sincere and full of supposed concern. He explains that, in fact, after hearing the news about her injury, he began traveling everywhere to search for medicinal herbs and then secluded himself to refine a pill for her. He claims to have just emerged from his seclusion that very morning and hurried there, apologizing for any shortcomings and hoping the fifth princess will forgive him. The other guests are impressed, with one remarking that the third prince is very sincere, though he wonders what kind of medicine could possibly take 2 years to refine. Feng Wu's curiosity is piqued, her expression becoming one of wide-eyed wonder. With a confident, almost smug smile, Zion King reveals that it is the legendary cleansing marrow recovery pill. Gasps ripple through the room. The onlookers whisper among themselves that legend claims this pill can revive the dead and restore inner cores, something found only in ancient texts, yet the third prince was somehow able to successfully refine it. One of the guests, a woman with a fan, is skeptical, questioning how ancient texts could have possibly explained how to refine it. Zion King continues his performance, explaining that he was worried about the fifth princess's health and after successfully refining the medicine, hurried here to share the good news. He asks how he should go about getting the medicine to her so everyone can differentiate it together. A cute chibi version of Feng Wu pops up, praising him for his hard work. As he speaks, one of Feng Wu's brothers, the crown prince, thuds his fist on the table. He declares that he still supports Wuyu's original idea. This proclamation is met with confusion from the other siblings, their chibi heads popping up with question marks. The crown prince looks at his sister with a heavy heart, revealing that 2 years ago, Wuyu wanted to find the third prince to annul the engagement, and he didn't stop her. The word annul hangs in the air, causing Chu Feichi's jaw to drop in shock as he nibbles on a strawberry. His eyes narrow with suspicion and dawning realization. It seems he thinks to himself that the Phoenix tribe is not as close to the dragon tribe as the rumors say. His mind swirls with questions, wondering what's motivating Feng Wu and what the point was of enduring such a miserable end. A haunting image flashes through his mind of a woman with flowing hair. Wielding a sword amidst a storm of pink blossoms, her expression fierce and determined. Feng Wu, however, appears unfazed, touching her chin thoughtfully. She states calmly that she doesn't remember any annulment from before, nor are she and Zion King familiar with each other. Her mind is working, and she internally questions Zion King's motives. If he truly refines such good medicine and shows such concern, she wonders why doesn't he carry it with him? She concludes that he is clearly probing their attitudes and watching their reactions before taking action. Determined not to be married off, her brothers immediately launch into a chaotic and intense debate about her future. One suggests they should let their fifth sister's engagement be chosen carefully, noting that the little prince of the Peafowl tribe seems very interested in her. Another sister chimes in, saying that in fact, she feels Prince Zion King is not entirely useless. This sparks a fierce argument. One brother declares that the nephew of the Grand Supreme Elder is clearly better than Zion King, but another retorts that he is balding and his house is filled with sandstorms. The first brother passionately argues that a romantic relationship begins with them as siblings and that the prince of the Peafowl tribe is a childhood friend, exclaiming how wonderful that would be. The crown prince, sitting in the middle, looks intensely stressed as his siblings argue around him. Amidst the chaos, Feng Wu, ever the caring sister, pulls out pouches of medicine from her sleeves, which tumble out with a series of thuds. She tells her brothers that since they are all carrying good medicine, they should eat more to strengthen their magical power, which will help them transform into a human early. She then sweetly shoves a pill into Chu Feichi's mouth, who looks utterly stuffed and confused, letting out a small huh. Zion King watches this display from afar, a cold look in his eyes as he thinks to himself that he didn't expect Feng Wu to be so favored. Later, within the opulent walls of the Dragon Palace, Zion King relaxes as a beautiful woman, Fu Liu of the Snake Tribe, massages his shoulders. She asks if he has met the fifth princess. He responds that he has met her, but she has grown up to be quite frail. He lets out a light laugh, holding a glowing orb in his hand. He says that Feng Wu has been spoiled by her several older brothers to the point where she doesn't know the height of the sky or the depth of the earth, and yet she still wants to raise. He trails off. Fu Liu leans closer, her green eyes curious, asking him what she wants to raise. He dismisses it as nothing. Fu Liu then says that the fifth princess has a noble status and is doted on by her brothers, but even if she is unruly and lawless when she becomes the prince's wife, the prince will surely teach her properly. Zion King's expression turns cold and calculating. He reveals his true intentions to Fu Liu, confessing that if it weren't for the help he could receive from the Phoenix tribe to smoothly inherit his position, he would have wanted to annul this engagement long ago. He looks at her with false pity, saying it's a shame she must pretend to be a maid by his side for now. Fu Liu replies with perfect subservience, expressing that her only hope is that after the prince marries, he will not forget this maid. He reassures her with a cruel promise, stating that Feng Wu will only be his nominal wife, while Fu Liu will be his real wife. That night, under a sky full of stars, Chu Feichi sits alone, deciding to circulate his energy after eating too many supplementary pills during the day. Suddenly, a shadowy wisp of smoke appears and a voice from the darkness asks, "Who?" Chu Feichi's eyes snap open, alert and wary, as the voice replies that it's them. A figure completely shrouded in a black cloak materializes before him. The snake demands to know why they are here. The cloaked figure speaks with a sharp, accusatory tone, saying that if they hadn't come, they wouldn't have known he was acting as a pet for the enemy. They harshly remind him not to forget who made it impossible for him to ascend, reducing his cultivation to a point where his own tribe doesn't even recognize him. A memory surfaces in Chu Feichi's mind of an old, wise Taoist with a long white beard. He recounts that on his way to Phoenix Mountain, he was caught by this old Taoist of Manhwa Palace, who then gave him to Feng Wuyou as a present. The cloaked figure presses him, demanding to know why he is by her side every day as a pet and why he didn't take action sooner. Chu Feichi hesitates, looking down, unable to answer immediately. He finally responds that the truth of that year is unclear, questioning how he could take action against Feng Wuyou without knowing all the facts. The cloaked figure, Fu Liu in disguise, insists that she has heard Feng Wu's fiancé has come to hasten the marriage. She warns him that once she marries into the dragon tribe, it will be even more difficult to act. As she then tells him she knows he hesitates. With a sinister flourish, she produces a small, dark vial from her sleeve, holding it out against a backdrop of spiderwebs and ominous red flowers. She explains that the poison is odorless and tasteless, and just one drop in Feng Wu's food will be enough to kill her within 3 days. She issues an ultimatum, stating that if he still hasn't found an opportunity to act, she will come and take him away from Phoenix Mountain for his own safety. Chu Feichi, his mind racing, agrees to the plan, saying, "All right." However, his internal thoughts reveal his true strategy. He must first agree rashly but not act until he has figured out the truth. He wonders to himself how strong was Feng Wuyou 2 years ago. The cloaked figure lets out a soft laugh, revealing that back then her cultivation was only 800 years, even weaker than him at that time. Chu Feichi presses further, asking how she was able to kill him then. Fu Liu explains that at that time he was enduring the heavenly tribulation, his strength was severely damaged, and he was just one step away from ascending and transforming into a dragon. She paints a vivid picture of betrayal, claiming Feng Wuyou suddenly took advantage of the situation, striking him from thousands of miles high and shattering his newly formed dragon bones. The image of his own snake form cracking like glass fills his mind. He then asks a crucial question: if that's the case, who injured Feng Wuyou afterward? Fu Liu claims that after she saved him, she didn't see Feng Wuyou again. She heard it said that Feng Wuyou was too arrogant and made too many enemies, and someone took advantage of that to assassinate her. Her face, hidden in shadow, holds a faint, knowing smile. This narrative doesn't sit right with Chu Feichi. He thinks about Feng Wuyou, who is so gentle she can comfortably raise even strange demon tribes like his as pets. The words arrogant and too many enemies just don't fit the person he's come to know. Fu Liu senses his doubt and asks if he's asking these questions because the Phoenix tribe has found something out. Chu Feichi quickly shakes his head, claiming he was just asking casually. Fu Liu reminds him that for demons, cultivation is more important than anything else, and once he ascends, killing Feng Wuyou for revenge will be easy. But since he is so determined to take revenge early that he can't even wait to cultivate a human form, she can only risk her life to follow him. She pats his head gently, telling him it's getting late and he should go back and wait for her news. As she turns to leave, she says she will leave first. Chu Feichi watches her go, his mind made up. It seems he thinks that he needs to slightly shift his investigation regarding what happened back then. He resolves that from this day onwards, he will follow Feng Wuyou step by step until he figures everything out. He slithers away into the night, but just as he rounds a corner, he hears a swish and stops in his tracks. To his utter shock, he sees Feng Wuyou, her expression deadly serious, launching a swift sword attack at the cloaked figure he was just speaking to. His jaw drops, his eyes bulge in a comical expression of sheer panic as he thinks, why are these two meeting each other? The world seems to shake around him. The cloaked figure blocks the blow with a dagger, the clash of steel ringing through the night. Chu Feichi is thrown into a frenzy. He realizes the truth hasn't been uncovered yet, and if that person's identity is revealed, he will be exposed too. He must find a way to stop Feng Wuyou. He races through the woods, wondering where they went, as the sound of fighting clearly stopped nearby. Suddenly, a weak voice calls out his name, "Chu Feichi, save me." He finds the cloaked figure slumped against a tree, wounded. He approaches, his eyes narrowed in suspicion, demanding to know what happened. He points out that they clearly left long ago, so how did Feng Wuyou find them and what did they do? Fu Liu, clutching her arm, spins a story, claiming she was worried that Feng Wuyou was pretending to lose her memory to deceive and harm him again. So after leaving, she snuck into her room. As she speaks, a figure appears in the distance behind her and she whispers, "Who?" She trails off, saying the result was that she was discovered. She pushes Chu Feichi, urging him to go first as Feng Wuyou is here and there's nothing for him to do if he stays. Chu Feichi agrees, telling her to be careful. As he slithers away, he thinks with a smug, sideways glance that it seems like he's already met Feng Wuyou. The cloaked figure stands, a powerful aura swirling around them, and vanishes into thin air. Feng Wuyou walks through a grove of blossoming purple trees, her footsteps soft on the grass. She confronts the figure, who now holds a sword, demanding to know why they are intruding late at night and challenging them to show their true face. She stands ready, her long hair and yellow robes flowing around her. She finds it strange that the intruder isn't moving or saying anything. With a sudden, decisive movement, she reaches out and rips the hood from their head. But the face revealed is not the one she expects. A cascade of long, silver hair is unveiled, belonging to a man of breathtaking beauty. Feng Wuyou gasps, her red eyes wide with shock at the handsome stranger before her. She analyzes him, noticing he's much taller than the person from earlier with a rigid posture and dull eyes. She wonders if he's under a binding spell. Suddenly, the man taps his own chest and the spell breaks with a soft sound. He begins to cough weakly. Feng Wuyou stands before him under the magical, glowing trees, demanding to know who he is and why he's there. The silver-haired man introduces himself as a minor immortal named Xuanjai, serving under Immortal Cayenne He of the Cayenne He Cave residence. He explains that he was passing by when someone attacked him with a binding spell to mobilize him. He says that she, the immortal, saved him or the consequences would have been dire. Feng Wuyou's mind begins to work. She recalls hearing that the celestial crane tribe is widely connected among the heavens and demons, having acquaintances everywhere. She realizes that if she can get some information from him, it would be much better than blindly casting a net herself. Adopting a cute, apologetic expression, she tells the immortal that she's sorry and almost struck him earlier. She offers him a pouch of medicine, saying it will help with his internal injuries and to consider it compensation. The immortal thanks her for the medicine and states that since she saved him, he may leave a token so he can prepare a gift to thank her in the future. Feng Wuyou perks up at the mention of a token. Her face falls slightly as she considers what she has. Internally, she notes that without her inner core, she can only rely on magic tools to protect herself. She remembers that she left in such a hurry tonight that she only brought her heaviest sword, deciding she'll have to give this to the minor immortal for now. She struggles comically to present the enormous sword, which seems to multiply as she tries to hand it over, exclaiming how heavy it is. The immortal takes it, observing that the sword has a blade like autumn frost, gleaming brightly, and is definitely not an ordinary item. He wonders why the immortal gave it to him so easily. He tells her she was injured within Phoenix Mountain's boundaries and that this sword will protect her until she can safely leave, instructing her to return it to him later. Feng Wuyou is touched, thinking the immortal is truly honorable. She offers that if there's anything she can help with in the future, he shouldn't hesitate to ask. A chibai version of the immortal with sparkling eyes appears, saying that to be honest, he does need her help with something. Feng Wuyou enthusiastically tells him to please speak without reservation. He explains that a friend of his lost something very important a few years ago and still hasn't found it despite searching everywhere. Coincidentally, he adds at the time she lost the item, someone disappeared for no apparent reason. Feng Wuyou connects the dots, asking if his friend suspects that this person stole it. He replies that he's not sure. But his friend has a strong feeling that finding this person will reveal the truth. He then asks who her friend is looking for. Leaning in close, her breath warm against his ear, Feng Wuyou whispers the name that makes his world freeze. She tells him it's Chu Feichi, the leader of the snake tribe. The immortal's eyes widen in absolute shock, his composure shattering as he realizes she's looking for *him*. A chibai version of himself points at him with text exclaiming, "Eating your own melon now, huh?" Still reeling, he stammers, asking her to repeat herself, demanding to know who she wants him to find. His hand trembles near his face, his mind unable to process this twist. Feng Wuyou, seeing his distress, quickly reassures the immoral official that he needn't be troubled. She explains that he just needs to stay by Xuanjai Daoist's side and see if there's any news, adding that if there are no results, she won't force him. She gives him a bright, reassuring smile, and he hesitantly agrees. She then bids him farewell, promising to see him again and cheerfully reminding him not to forget their agreement. As a final, playful note, she adds that when he comes as a guest, she'll show him her pet snake. She waves goodbye and departs, leaving the immortal utterly bewildered. His mission now clear, Chu Feichi travels to the misty and treacherous Jiyi Mountain, the home of the snake clan. He overhears some lower-level clan members discussing Fu Liu, noting that they don't know her background, only that her cultivation is extraordinary and she never bothers to speak with them. They mention that after the leader's failed ascension, his whereabouts became unknown and all the clan members think he's dead. Now, the elders are dividing up territories and don't dare leave the swamp area. Chu Feichi's mind works. He remembers that he once created a secret treasure vault in the mountain to store precious items and entrusted it to Elder Yan Yu to manage. He is certain that if he can find him, the elder can surely help answer his questions. There's just one problem: the mechanisms of the secret vault are very well protected, and with his current cultivation, there will be no way in. He shakes his head, deciding to stop thinking about it and pushes forward, entering a swirling dark portal. Inside, he navigates treacherous traps, cutting through thorny vines and leaping over crocodile-infested waters. He finally lands inside the vault, his sword dripping with blood, and calls out for Elder Yan Yu to come out and greet him, announcing that the leader has returned. A massive crocodile guardian snarls, demanding to know who dares to impersonate their snake clan's leader. A burly, bearded elder appears, wielding a sword and lunging forward, shouting for the imposter to prepare to die. Chu Feichi calmly states that old Yan Yu's appearance can be faked, but memories can't. He then reveals a deeply personal secret, asking if the elder remembers that he hid his ex-lover's foxtail under his pillow. The elder freezes mid-attack, his eyes bulging in shock as he stammers, asking how he could possibly know that, wondering if he could really be. Convinced, the elder lowers his weapon, declaring that this is not the place to talk, and quickly leads him inside, saying he has many questions to ask. Chu Feichi, now in a smaller mudded chibai form, agrees. After a while of explanation, the elder, aghast, asks if he risked coming all this way just to ask about Miss Fu Liu. Chu Feichi, now tending to a wound on his stomach, confirms this, explaining that under Fei Dao's Great Lightning Tribulation formation, Fu Liu was the one who saved him. The elder's eyes widen in disbelief, exclaiming it was her. Chu Feichi, applying a green poultice to his abdomen, asks why he's so surprised and wonders if he and Fu Liu have some deep grudge. The elder points a finger at him, explaining that back then he was only obsessed with cultivation and completely indifferent to women. He recounts that Fu Liu was hurt and declared she would definitely make him regret it as time passed. Chu Feichi, pulling his robes closed, looks down thoughtfully, asking why she would agree to save him if she was hurt. The elder sighs dramatically, stating that love is something he's never experienced. When you love someone to madness, love becomes hate, and hate becomes love. Chu Feichi's chibai form shivers, telling him not to say things that give people goosebumps. The gentle breeze rustles through the lush green leaves, a tranquil moment that feels like a distant memory. A small white snake, looking utterly exhausted yet incredibly proud, stands beside a pile of dirt and treasures he has unearthed. With a strained expression, he seems to be presenting his findings, a peculiar collection including a sack and a gleaming pearl bracelet. He recalls the fifth princess's reaction, how she had pointed with childlike glee, her eyes sparkling with admiration. She had exclaimed with pure delight that her little snake was so talented, her praise echoing in his mind as she had lovingly petted his head, holding the pearl bracelet he'd given her. In another fragment of memory, a wise, silver-haired man, Elder Yan Yu, holds a dark bundle, his expression grave as he explains its contents. He had warned that the blood jade bracelet was made from ancient Nuwa stone, a powerful artifact that could control day and night and nourish all things, but if used incorrectly, it would devour everything and destroy life. He had advised keeping the blood jade bracelet for oneself and giving the rest of the treasures away as gifts, a solemn warning hanging in the air. A note of intrigue surfaces. The little snake's protective charm had never left the Phoenix clan's territory, suggesting all these treasures were found within their domain. In the present, the fifth princess, Feng Wuyou, gazes at the numerous items her snake has brought her, a small, fluffy white spirit perched on her head. She muses that the sheer quantity of items proves they must be the genuine result of his night of digging. Her eyes, however, are drawn to one specific item of immense power, the blood jade bracelet. The little snake, completely ignoring Elder Yan Yu's dire words from the past, watches her with bright, hopeful eyes, his true intentions hidden. Wuyou picks up the vibrant red bracelet, a thoughtful expression on her face as she murmurs its name. The snake's internal monologue reveals his plan. He wonders if she will recognize this particular jade bracelet, a piece that is one of a kind in the entire world. Wuyou's face breaks into a radiant smile as she slips the bracelet onto her delicate wrist, the crimson jade a stark contrast against her pale skin. She thanks her little snake tenderly, telling him it's beautiful as she gently pets his head, her eyes filled with pure affection. But the tender moment is shattered in an instant. A hand cruelly seizes the little snake, squeezing him tightly. A man with long, dark hair, Zion King, glares down with utter contempt. His voice drips with venom as he addresses her as the fifth princess, questioning her values. He asks her why she doesn't appreciate the medicine he gave her. Yet she seems to adore the trash these low-class animals bring down from the mountain. The little snake writhes and struggles in his merciless grip, hissing in pain and fear. Wuyou's expression transforms from gentle affection to blazing fury, her red eyes wide with shock and anger. The little spirit on her head shrieks in alarm as she yells at Zion King, fiercely defending her companion. She declares that the little snake is not a low-class animal but her friend and demands that he let him go immediately. Zion King's expression remains cold and dismissive, a cruel sneer on his lips as he looks down at the struggling creature. He remarks with chilling indifference that it's just a lowly snake species and it wouldn't be a pity if it died. He prepares to hurl the snake away, his hand tightening its grip. Wuyou screams his name, Zion King, lunging forward in a panic. Her hand shoots out, grabbing his wrist with surprising strength to stop him. The sudden contact stills him, and his cruel expression morphs into a sly, predatory smirk as he looks down at her. He leans in closer, his voice a low, suggestive whisper, telling her that he has always cherished flowers and jade, implying he doesn't want to harm women. He taunts her, suggesting that if she is willing to beg him, he might just soften his heart and release her precious pet. Before Wuyou can react to his vile proposition, the little snake takes matters into his own body. Fueled by rage, he sinks his fangs deep into Zion King. Blood splatters as the sharp bite takes effect. Zion King bellows in pain and fury, his face contorted in a mask of rage. He screams, asking how this low-class animal dares to bite him, and with a powerful whoosh, he flings the snake through the air. Wuyou cries out for him to be careful, her face a portrait of terror as she watches her friend fly away. The little snake tumbles through the air, his eyes squeezed shut in pain. But before he can hit the ground, a calm hand gently catches him. The tense atmosphere is broken by the arrival of Wuyou's brothers. Her fourth brother, Wuyou, his face a storm of anger, immediately points an accusing finger. He furiously demands to know how this stubborn snake dared to bite and injure an honored guest of the Phoenix clan. Wuyou, her protective instincts on full display, rushes to her pet's defense, pleading with her fourth brother not to falsely accuse the kind-hearted snake, insisting that it was Zion King who attacked first. Zion King, ever the actor, clutches his wounded hand and puts on a piteous display of remorse. He confesses that he did indeed make the first move, explaining with false sincerity that seeing how much the fifth princess loved her pet snake made him want to interact with it too, never imagining it would end like this. Wuyou glares at him, her eyes narrowed in utter disgust as she mutters the word "you." The little snake nestled in her arms looks equally unimpressed. Zion King continues his charade, flashing a gentle, forgiving smile as he tells the fifth princess not to worry, claiming it's just a small wound. Wuyou's fury intensifies, her face contorting in an angry chibai expression as she internally accuses him of having wicked intentions. Her big brother steps forward, his expression stern and resolute. He addresses his younger brother, stating that regardless of the circumstances, this matter is indeed the snake's fault. With a thud of authority, he delivers the verdict. He declares that the snake has been disrespectful and has offended an honored guest of the Phoenix clan, sentencing it to be imprisoned in the dark dungeon and dealt with according to clan rules. A golden shimmering chain of energy erupts and ensnares the little snake, lifting it into the air. The snake struggles futilely, its internal thoughts burning with impotent rage. It thinks that if only it still had its cultivation, it would risk its life to crush the head of this evil dragon, resolving that it must work hard on improving its cultivation. Wuyou cries out in desperation for her big brother, her face a mask of anguish. But before she can intervene, her second brother gently holds her back, his hand on her waist. He speaks to her softly, his eyes covered by a blindfold, telling Wuyou to calm down first and to come with him. He leads her away as the snake is taken to the dungeon, the scene fading into the quiet grove. Later, inside a grand pavilion, Wuyou is still seething with rage. She vents to her second brother, her chibai form puffing with anger as she complains that Zion King definitely has no good intentions. She fumes about how he demanded the border defense of the Phoenix clan the moment he opened his mouth, saying one thing to your face while being truly despicable behind your back. As she gestures angrily, her hand shakes, drawing her brother's attention to the vibrant red bracelet she wears. He gently takes her wrist, his expression serious, and asks Wuyou where this came from. A few days pass. The little snake is being led out of the dark dungeon, blinking in the sunlight. He marvels at his good fortune to see daylight again after being imprisoned. He overhears two guards whispering nearby. One explains that he heard the snake was pardoned because the fifth princess begged the Great Lord for several days, offering a treasure in exchange for its freedom. The word treasure catches the snake's attention. A dark, calculating look crosses its face as it wonders if Feng Wuyou's brothers recognize the blood jade bracelet and if they are aware that the item can both benefit and harm people. Just then, Wuyou's joyful voice calls out to him. She runs towards him with open arms, her face beaming with relief as she asks if he's all right. She scoops him up into a loving embrace as her big brother stands behind them, his expression unreadable. He formally announces that the little snake provoked the Dragon clan and damaged the harmony between the Dragon and Phoenix clans, a crime that should be punished by execution. However, he continues, considering the snake gifted the princess an ancient treasure, the blood jade bracelet, the Phoenix clan has decided to spare its life. Instead of punishment, he's given a new purpose. If he has a talent for digging up treasures, he is to help her in the secret realm trials to eliminate monsters, obtain treasures, and improve her cultivation, with the crucial condition that everything he obtains must be given to the fifth princess. Wuyou turns to her pet, her smile gentle and reassuring, and tells the little snake not to worry, promising that she will protect him well. The snake is left utterly speechless by this turn of events. She then asks him to nod if he agrees, taking his silence as an opportunity. He gives a small, almost imperceptible nod. Delighted, she praises him, calling him a good little snake. As they walk away, her big brother watches them, his gaze distant and troubled. His internal thoughts are a swirl of suspicion. He reasons that a low-level snake demon shouldn't be capable of giving such a valuable treasure like the blood jade bracelet. He concludes its identity must be far more complex than it seems, and for the safety of his fifth sister, the Phoenix clan should have destroyed it. He confers with an old, wise-looking man, Taoist Lingzhu, who stands ethereally before him. The Taoist confirms the big brother's suspicions, stating that this snake is a gift and there must be a reason behind it. He offers a startling piece of advice, telling him that although the snake is from a different race, he is a good match for the fifth princess. The big brother is left alone with these cryptic words, his profile etched with worry as he recalls Taoist Lingzhu's prophecy that Wuyou carries the destiny. That night, under the gentle glow of moonlight filtering through blossoming branches, Wuyou sleeps peacefully in her bed. The little snake, coiled on a nearby cushion, is wide awake. He silently slithers to the door, peeking out cautiously. His eyes fall upon a folded piece of paper on the floor, and he immediately recognizes it as a letter from Fu Liu. He snatches the letter in his mouth and slips outside into the moonlit garden. The letter's message is both a promise and a threat. You and I are one. If you don't want to act, I'll do it for you. The snake's face contorts with rage. A red, angry vein pops on his head as he internally shouts for the sender to stay out of this. A small burst of flame erupts from his mouth, incinerating the paper instantly. Just as the last ash falls, a gentle voice cuts through the night. Wuyou stands there holding a lantern, her expression soft as she asks the little snake what he's doing here. The snake whips around, hissing nervously. He puts on a cute, innocent facade, his tongue flicking out and his body swaying as if he's been caught doing something adorable. Wuyou looks at him, a faint smile on her lips, and asks if he was digging for treasures again. She sits down by the lantern, her long hair cascading over her shoulders, and muses aloud that Phoenix Mountain doesn't have that many treasures left to dig up. She gives a small yawn, telling him she's too sleepy and will check whatever treasure he dug up tomorrow. She pats his head gently, but he hesitates, not actually digging at all. But as she turns to walk away, the soft, sleepy demeanor vanishes completely. Her eyes narrow, becoming sharp and intensely suspicious. Her internal voice is cold and analytical as she questions what he's scheming, noting that he was just communicating with others and destroying the evidence. Back in her room, her little bird spirit Duo asks its master how it went, and if she found proof of the little snake's betrayal. Wuyou, now in her nightgown, confirms that he destroyed the letter, which means they couldn't see anything, but she can now safely assume there is someone else behind him. A dark, shadowy silhouette of her former self appears, a manifestation of her pain and wisdom as she realizes she should have thought of this sooner. Her mind races, connecting the dots. If the legendary blood jade bracelet had been on Phoenix Mountain, her powerful elder brothers would have certainly found it by now. The question hangs heavy in the air: how could a mere little snake have discovered it? Her eyes glow an ominous red with dawning comprehension. Duo, perched on a piece of furniture, puffs out its chest and advises its master that this is very suspicious, urging her to please be cautious when she and the little snake enter the secret realm tomorrow. Wuyou sits at her table, a wooden box open before her. Inside are two identical blood jade bracelets. She picks one up, noting which is real and which is fake. A wry, knowing smile plays on her lips as she closes the box, musing to herself that it seems she's not meant to wear the real blood jade bracelet just yet. The day arrives for them to enter the secret room. They stand before a magnificent, shimmering waterfall of golden energy cascading down a cliff face, surrounded by fluttering white butterflies. Wuyou's big brother gives her some final words of advice. He tells her that every cultivation method has its own opportunities and that this time she will have to rely on herself. The little snake looks on with a distinctly unimpressed sideways glance. The big brother suggests that when necessary she should try using the blood jade bracelet to see if it can help her inner core and regulate her kai. Wuyou looks at the bracelet on her wrist and agrees with a simple all right. With a determined look, her hair flowing behind her, she says, "Let's go," and walks towards the portal. The little snake, curled up on the grass, watches her go with a small, annoyed blush on his cheek. She steps into the light and vanishes with a whoosh. The snake follows, disappearing into the magical entrance. They emerge into a breathtaking new world, a field of ethereal, glowing blue and white flowers under a canopy of hanging willows. The little snake, now carrying a small green pouch, slithers beside Wuyou through the enchanting landscape. He looks up at her, his big eyes wide, when she suddenly announces that she and he will split up. The snake freezes, a large question mark appearing above his head as he tries to process her words. He immediately tries to win her over, proudly puffing out his chest and hissing excitedly, showing her his pouch, which is practically bursting with a rainbow of glowing treasures. He excitedly tells her to look, explaining that he dug up a ton of treasures last night. Wuyou glances down at the offering, her expression flat and unimpressed. She dryly notes that this is what he dug up last night, internally recognizing that it's all stuff taken from himself. She dismisses his offering, telling him that these low-level pills aren't even enough to replenish his blood and he should just keep them for himself. The snake's world shatters. He imagined a completely different reaction. He thought she would have hugged him and praised him for being awesome. He comically turns to stone and crumbles apart in his mind. His shock quickly turns to indignation. He thinks to himself that, as expected, women are fickle. He fumes about what the big deal is about splitting up, angrily questioning who can't be apart from whom. He watches her walk away into the starry, ethereal landscape, her figure getting smaller in the distance. For a moment, a stubborn thought crosses his mind that he'd rather die than go with her. But his resolve wavers as he recalls his duty. He reminds himself that he's not worried about her. He was entrusted to her by her brothers, and being a snake means keeping his word. He glides through the flowers, following her from a distance. He prides himself on his cleverness, thinking he secretly hid, didn't have to listen to Feng Wuyou's hateful words, and didn't break his promise to her eldest brother. He's truly a genius. As he follows, Wuyou suddenly stops in the misty path and calls out, asking who's there. The snake freezes mid-slither, panicking that he's almost been caught. He quickly ducks behind a rock, his heart pounding. When he peeks out again, she's vanished. A silhouette of where she stood remains as he wonders in confusion where she went. Wuyou, hiding behind a different rock, narrows her eyes, thinking that his sneaking around like that is definitely suspicious. Suddenly, the sky cracks with a loud bang. A massive bolt of lightning strikes down between them. An ethereal voice announces a new rule. If two people traveling together exceed a distance of 10 meters, they will be randomly punished. A diagram shows them at a distance of 1 meters. The lightning zaps the snake, turning him into a spiky, blackened crisp that sizzles on the ground. Wuyou sniffs the air with a smug expression, commenting on how fragrant the smell of roasted meat is. The twitching, burnt snake wonders if the heavens struck him with lightning so he can't hit her anymore. In a fit of petty revenge, he inches forward 0.01 meters. Instantly, a small rain cloud appears over Wuyou and begins to drench her. A new rule is announced. If they stand still beyond the 10-meter distance, both will be punished. But if one person stays still while the other moves, only the one standing still will be punished. Wuyou yells in frustration, asking what kind of stupid rule this is. The snake, recovering, sticks his tongue out at her mockingly. She points a finger at him, angrily vowing that he'll just wait for her. Another bolt of lightning zaps her, making her scream. Utterly soaked and frazzled, she realizes she's wasted too much time already. Finally, after their chaotic battle with the realm's rules, they declare a ceasefire, facing each other with exhausted and grumpy expressions. As dusk settles, painting the sky in soft hues, Wuyou looks around and remarks that it's getting dark and they need to find a place to rest. She knows that while the day is peaceful, the night will surely bring a tough battle. The little snake, flattened into a disc shape from exhaustion, hisses pathetically that he got shocked so badly he can't walk anymore. Wuyou lets out a soft sigh, then turns to him with a gentle expression, extending her hand. She tells him to get on. The snake's grumpy expression instantly melts into one of pure bliss, his tail wagging happily as he looks at her outstretched hand. They find shelter in a dark cave. Wuyou declares that they'll rest there for the night, having checked that there is no demonic energy in the area. She sits by a flickering torch, cradling the sleeping snake in her lap. He's snoring softly, completely at peace. Wuyou watches him, her face illuminated by the warm light, but her thoughts are cold and sharp. She internally accuses him of plotting something against her and daring to sleep so soundly in front of her. She wonders if he is just a carefree snake or if this is all a deliberate act to make her lower her guard. She gently rubs his head, her touch betraying a hint of affection despite her suspicions. With a quiet sigh, she decides to forget it for now. She resolves to keep him around for a few more days, planning to deal with him once she's gathered enough evidence. As she drifts into her own thoughts, the scene the world reemerges through a haze of pain and disorientation for Feng Wuyou, her senses slowly returning within the rustic confines of a small wooden cabin nestled deep within a mysterious, starlit forest. Laying on a simple bed, she lets out a soft groan, her voice a fragile whisper in the quiet room as she murmurs that it hurts, her brow furrowed and her eyes still half closed against the lingering ache. As clarity returns, she pushes herself into a sitting position, her gaze sweeping over the unfamiliar wooden walls and the single, small window. Her mind races, trying to piece together the fractured memories, wondering aloud where she is and recalling that just moments ago, it seemed they were in a mountain cave. Her question is answered by a voice she's never heard before, and her head whips around to find the source. The little white snake now coiled imposingly at the foot of her bed, its form much larger than she remembers. The snake calmly explains their predicament, recounting how they were attacked by a monster in the cave, how she had passed out from the ordeal, and that by a stroke of luck, he had found this abandoned wooden cabin to shelter them. The revelation that her pet snake can now speak sends a jolt of pure shock through Feng Wuyou's entire being. Her eyes widen in utter disbelief as she leaps from the bed, grabbing the snake and shaking him vigorously as she exclaims that he can talk now. The snake, seemingly unperturbed by her frantic handling, continues his explanation with an air of newfound pride. He elaborates that while she was injured and he was unable to save her, a sudden surge of powerful spiritual energy rushed into his head, miraculously unlocking his intelligence, a fortunate boon from this secret realm. Feng Wuyou listens, her mind reeling, internally acknowledging that what he was saying made a strange sort of sense, yet a crucial detail nags at her memory. Before she lost consciousness, she was certain she had seen a person, not a snake. Suspicion clouds her features as she sits on the edge of the bed, the little snake coiled before her, and she presses him for more details, asking pointedly how a small snake like him managed to get her out of the cave. With a slightly smug and goofy grin, the snake proudly proclaims that he ate a pill that made him grow larger, then used his powerful tail to carry her out. The image that flashes through Feng Wuyou's mind is one of profound horror and disgust. Her face contorts, her eyes wide with shock and her cheeks flushed red with embarrassment as she points a trembling finger at him, stammering out the question of whether he really used his snake tail to drag her all the way here. The snake, oblivious to her mortification, beams with self-satisfaction, his turquoise eyes sparkling as he confirms that this was exactly what he did. A vivid mental illustration confirms her worst fears, showing her limp form being unceremoniously dragged across the rough terrain by the snake's tail, making her recoil with the thought of how much it must have scraped and hurt. The snake, puffing out his chest with pride, boasts that it was lucky he was so quick-witted, otherwise she'd still be trapped in that cave. Snapping out of her horrified trance, Feng Wuyou puts on a stern expression, wagging her finger at him as she firmly instructs him that next time he is absolutely not to drag her like that. The snake, ever the cheeky creature, tilts his head and casually suggests that next time he'll just bite her and run. A suggestion that only makes Feng Wuyou's expression of comical outrage deepen. A cute, chibi-style fantasy shows the little snake playfully nipping at her hair bun, much to her annoyance. Mood shifts as she stands over him, a shadow falling across her face. She admonishes him for his nonsense and complete lack of respect for the hierarchy between them. With a smirk that is both playful and vaguely menacing, her red eyes gleaming with a newfound authority, she leans down and commands him to call her master now, demanding to hear it. The little snake is thrown for a loop, a blush creeping up his white scales. His internal monologue is a flurry of confusion. He thinks to himself that Feng Wuyou has been acting strangely ever since they entered this secret realm, now even demanding he call her master. The very idea wounds his pride, as he reminds himself that he is the leader of a great clan and his dignity would be shattered if he submitted so easily. Seeing his hesitation, Feng Wuyou's playful demeanor melts away, replaced by a look of profound sadness. Her voice becomes soft and questioning as she asks if he doesn't want to. She continues to press him, her expression turning more vulnerable as she asks if his refusal is because he already has a master. Or perhaps she ventures with a tremble in her voice because she is not worthy of being his master. This dramatic turn completely flusters the snake, who panics and shouts that it's not that at all. He launches into his own melodramatic speech, his mouth wide open as he declares that perhaps it is fate that they are not destined to be master and pet, lamenting that all the good times they shared were wrong all along. The performance is too much for Feng Wuyou, who covers her face with her hands and begins to sob loudly and theatrically, bemoaning the fact that she came here for revenge, not to find a master. Inside the snake's mind, a fierce battle rages between his devil and angel personas. The devilish side scolds him for not planning his revenge properly, while the angelic side gently questions what's so wrong with calling her master just this once. Torn by his internal conflict, the snake's entire body writhes with embarrassment, a deep blush coloring his face as he forces out the first syllable, mass. But just as the word is about to escape his lips, a sudden sharp clatter from outside shatters the tension. Both of them jump in fright, their silly drama instantly forgotten. Feng Wuyou's eyes dart to the window where two menacing white orbs glow in the darkness, and she lets out a terrified scream, shrieking that there's a ghost. The snake, ever so slightly more composed, calmly observes that it looks like the owner of this cabin has returned. A moment later, ethereal green tendrils of energy snake into the room, forming a barrier around them. Feng Wuyou watches, her red eyes wide with fear, as the ghostly image of a gruff, imposing old man materializes before them. He roars at the two thieves, demanding to know how they dare trespass on his territory. Thinking quickly, Feng Wuyou adopts a polite and apologetic demeanor, bowing her head slightly as she explains to the senior that they didn't mean to offend, that they saw the cabin was empty and only entered to take shelter, promising they will leave immediately. The old man takes a heavy step forward, his spectral form solidifying, and gruffly states that this is his wife's favorite cabin and she despises strangers. He stands menacingly, holding a basket of herbs and a walking staff, explaining that if his wife finds out about them, she will surely blame him for not guarding the place properly. But his internal monologue reveals a much darker intention. He muses that if he kills them both here in the secret realm, their auras will simply vanish and his wife will never know they were here at all. A chill runs down Feng Wuyou's spine as she remembers something she'd read in old records. The scariest thing to encounter in a secret realm isn't a high-level beast, but other people, intruders. The snake, feeling the palpable killing intent, grits his teeth, wishing he could maintain his human form to give them a fighting chance. Desperate to de-escalate, Feng Wuyou holds up a hand in a gesture to stop him, creating a large, comical red X to halt his aggression as she apologizes once more for their rudeness. In a startling shift of tactics, she suddenly appears beside the old man, offering him a cup of tea with a beaming smile, proposing a bold solution to make up for their mistake. The old man, though clearly skeptical, takes the cup and tells her to let him hear it. While Feng Wuyou launches into her plan, the little snake has a complete meltdown in the background, his body contorting in panic as he internally screams, wondering why she is casually chatting with their potential murderer instead of trying to escape. Feng Wuyou, with a dazzlingly sweet smile, begins to flatter the old man, remarking that she can tell his cultivation is incredibly high. So casting a spell to erase any unusual traces in the cabin must be as easy for him as flipping his hand. She then leans in, her eyes wide and sincere, and declares that she knows he isn't just powerful but also kind-hearted. She makes an astonishing offer, proclaiming that if he is willing to help them, the small snake by her side will stay with him, serving him loyally no matter the danger. The snake is aghast, thinking to himself that Feng Wuyou must have gone completely mad. Anyone living in a secret realm is not ordinary, and staying with this old man is just asking for trouble. The old man lets out a hearty laugh, clearly amused by her audacity, noting that before he has even agreed to anything, she's already slapped the good guy label on him. He reveals that they aren't the first. In the past, other couples have wandered into the cabin, but they were kept to help tend the medicinal fields, and she and her snake are not suitable. Unfazed, Feng Wuyou grabs the little snake, holding him up like an offering, and brightly suggests that as long as the senior allows them to stay, they can pretend to be a couple. The snake is utterly mortified, his mouth gaping as he sputters, asking what kind of nonsense she is spouting now. The old man, however, is not so easily deceived. He smirks, his eyes glinting as he tells the little girl not to think she can fool him. He correctly identifies her as a descendant of the Phoenix tribe and the snake from the snake tribe, pointing out that their clans mean they could never be husband and wife. Then with a sigh, he amends his statement, saying that to be precise, they aren't really husband and wife. They're just one step away from becoming so. Feng Wuyou looks down, a flicker of genuine sadness in her eyes, while the little snake gives her a pleading look, silently urging her to work with him. She takes a deep breath and launches into a tragic, fabricated love story. With dramatic flair and gestures, she recounts how she met the little snake by chance and they developed feelings for each other very quickly, but alas, her tribe's elders discovered their forbidden love and forced her to give him up. The old man listens intently, asking if she truly abandoned her tribe and chose the one she loves. Feng Wuyou nods sadly, continuing her tale by explaining that they are now being hunted by her tribe, and it was while escaping that they accidentally arrived here. She pulls the snake into a tight, affectionate hug, nuzzling him as she adds the final, heart-wrenching detail. Unfortunately, the little snake lost its spiritual power while protecting her and can no longer maintain its human form. The snake, caught in her embrace, is internally sweating bullets. Wondering why she is getting so touchy-feely with him during her performance, she gives a little wink that only he can see while continuing to stroke his head affectionately. Her story completely wins over the old man, whose stern face softens, a blush rising on his cheeks as he covers his mouth, deeply moved. He declares that he truly admires their courage in the pursuit of true love. With a newfound sense of purpose, he proclaims that since the world doesn't understand how precious true love is, he will be the one to help them. Feng Wuyou's face lights up and she internally cheers that her plan worked, while the snake is utterly baffled, wondering if it's really that easy. The old man nods, agreeing that he can let them stay and hide for a few days, and he can even help her snake regain his human form. But he adds, his voice dropping slightly, he has one condition. A sly, calculating smile spreads across his face. Feng Wuyou's expression becomes one of fierce determination as she declares that as long as it's for the little snake, she'll do anything. Her eyes are wide and earnest, a perfect picture of selfless love. The snake watches her, utterly captivated by her performance. He admits to himself that when Feng Wuyou acts, even he can't tell what's real or fake. A memory flashes through his mind of a time before when she looked at him with that same sincere expression and told him not to be afraid. Another memory follows of her smiling gently after he gave her a pearl necklace, thanking him for the beautiful gift and promising that she would protect him. This flood of memories plants a seed of doubt in his heart. Was her kindness to him before just an act as well? His eyes narrow, suspicion hardening his gaze. The old man lays out their task. He explains that he survives by offering the spiritual herbs from the nearby medicinal field to the master of the realm in exchange for peace. However, he continues, every night thieves come to steal the herbs. Their task, he declares, is to guard these herbs tonight and make sure they aren't stolen. Only then can they stay. Feng Wuyou cautiously asks what will happen if they fail. The old man's face is split by a cruel, knowing grin. He states it simply, the herb thieves will kill them. With a final, chilling farewell, he wishes them luck and hopes to see them both tomorrow morning before vanishing into the night. As soon as he's gone, the snake frantically urges her that they should run now, believing they still have a chance if they escape before the old man returns. Feng Wuyou remains calm, telling him that escape is not an option. She explains the grim reality of their situation, asking if he knows what it means to meet someone living in this secret realm. She elaborates that the old man is either a puppet of a high-level demonic beast, or he's the master of the secret realm himself, holding the power of life and death over everyone here. Standing amidst the softly glowing flora of the field, she looks out into the darkness. The snake processes this, concluding grimly that if it's the former, they might survive, but if it's the latter, they are utterly dead. Feng Wuyou glances at him with a teasing smirk, remarking that he sure knows a lot for someone who just gained spiritual awareness. He explains with a touch of pride that the snake tribe also has a few secret realms for cultivation, and although he's not qualified to enter, he has heard some things. Her attention is then drawn to a cluster of stunningly beautiful flowers, their petals a vibrant, glowing purple. She calls him over to look, asking what it is. The snake immediately identifies it as a jiangzhu plant, an incredibly rare flower that only blooms once every 3,000 years. He explains further that it is a half-demonic plant that only grows near the caves of demonic beasts, each one guarded by a beast, which is why they can't be cultivated. A sly, almost predatory smile touches Feng Wuyou's lips as she muses that she's been visiting the Phoenix tribe's medical halls daily to restore her strength, but has only ever heard of the jiangzhu plant, never seen one. She comments that it seems the snake tribe has grown much stronger for even a small snake with no cultivation to be so impressive. The snake gets flustered by her intense gaze and tells her to just say whatever is on her mind. Her expression turns deadly serious. She states flatly that the old man tricked them. She lays out her reasoning, if the herbs from this field are offered to the master of the secret realm, why would the demonic beast risk stealing them and offending him? The horrifying truth dawns on them as a low growl echoes through that the story begins with a rather comical scene, where the idyllic greenery is juxtaposed with the low, rumbling growl of a very disgruntled white wolf. The creature, chained near a makeshift tent, glares with pure indignation, a prominent angry vein throbbing on its furry forehead as its stomach grumbles audibly. Its internal monologue is one of pure suffering and humiliation. It bemoaned the irresistible smell of meat, lamenting that since becoming a dog, it could only gnaw on bones. Its frustration boils over as it barks furiously at the elegant, silver-haired man, Chu Bai, who is crouched nearby, accusing him of even snatching the chicken leg that the senior had specifically designated for the dog. Standing behind Chu Bai, Feng Wuyou can't help but find the situation amusing. With a playful tug, she lifts a lock of his long, silvery hair, her red eyes sparkling with mirth as she asks if he doesn't think his behavior is a little childish. A bright, cheerful smile blossoms on her face as she leans in, whispering loudly and intentionally so the wolf can hear, explaining that it was the first time she'd ever seen a wolf turn into a dog and she was just naturally curious. A moment later, the mood shifts as Chu Bai turns to her, his expression more serious as he touches the side of his masked face, a slight purple swirl indicating his annoyance. He asks her what the old man said to her after he had been unceremoniously kicked out. Feng Wuyou's expression softens as she relays the conversation, explaining that the old man had asked her a few questions about her Phoenix clan and had then given her a map of the secret realm. As she speaks, she reaches out, her small hands gently grasping the collar of his robes, pulling him slightly closer in an intimate gesture. For a brief charged moment, their eyes lock, her brilliant crimson irises reflecting a world of concern and curiosity, his piercing green eyes partially obscured by the ornate mask, holding a depth of ancient secrets and a flicker of something unreadable. The fragile intimacy is shattered when a voice calls out from a nearby wooden hut, summoning Lady Feng and Lord Shi, informing them that the leader had something to discuss with them. Startled, they both spring into action. Feng Wuyou shouting back that they were on their way as they hurry towards the hut. their movements comically synchronized in their haste. As she runs, a private thought crosses Feng Wuyu's mind. She reflects on their recent proximity, realizing with a touch of surprise that the little snake still hadn't noticed the bracelet she was wearing was a fake, a subtle sign of her own lingering caution. Chubai glances over at her, noticing her distracted state, and asks his lady why she was spacing out. Snapping back to the present, she offers him a radiant, reassuring smile, her eyes crinkling sweetly as she simply replies that she was coming. The two of them walk together under the shade of a magnificent leafy tree, the sunlight dappling through the branches and casting a warm glow upon them as they head to their meeting. Inside the humble wooden building, the elderly couple sits before them. The old man, the leader, addresses them with a new task. He informs them that they don't need to tend the medicine fields during the day for now. Instead, he wants them to go into the thunderstorm forest and bring back a piece of wood that has been struck by lightning. Feng Wuyou immediately looks concerned, kneeling beside Chubai as she questions the senior. She points out the potential danger and reminds him that she and her lady had stayed up all night watching the fields and had even fought with the demon wolf. She pleads that they were exhausted and asks if he could perhaps assign them a different, less arduous task. From the shadows, the old man's eyes narrow, a calculating glint within them as he listens to her protest. A tense silence hangs in the air. Before he reveals his true intentions, he explains that in a secret area of that forest, there is a lightning conductor stone, which was transformed from the inner core of an ancient divine beast called Niu. He then looks directly at Feng Wuyou, his hand gesturing towards her as he observes that he sees her inner core is empty, suggesting that this powerful stone might be incredibly useful to her. A knowing, almost sly smile plays on his lips as he finishes, leaving the final decision in their hands by stating that whether they choose to go or not, they can discuss it amongst themselves. With a dramatic boom, he and his wife vanish in a puff of smoke, leaving the two of them alone to ponder the dangerous offer. Outside the now empty hut, sitting on the grass, Feng Wuyou voices her fears. She tells Chubai that this whole intersect gate feels like a trap and asks him if he really wants to go, worrying that the old man's wife is even scarier than him. Her face contorts into a comically worried expression as she frets that if they don't go, they might be killed on the spot. Chubai, ever calm, turns to her with a gentle smile, conceding that her fear is a possibility. However, he adds that the old man did say the inner core would be useful to him, so he wants to give it a try. He looks at her with a soft expression, reminding her that even without her inner core, she is still the noble princess of the Phoenix clan, gently questioning why she feels the need to go through all this trouble. Feng Wuyu's expression crumbles, her eyes welling with unshed tears as she confesses a devastating secret. With a quavering sigh, she reveals that if she doesn't have her inner core, she will gradually regress into the form of a child until she vanishes completely. Her voice breaks as she says she isn't willing to accept that fate, especially since she hasn't even seen him grow up yet. This heartfelt and unexpected confession leaves Chubai utterly speechless, his eyes wide with shock. Feng Wuyou, now in full Chubai meltdown mode with tears streaming down her face, defensively adds that he's never heard of anyone dying because they lost their inner core. Her inner thoughts reveal the reason. This is a secret unique to the Phoenix clan, so how could outsiders possibly know? A whimsical diagram then illustrates the concept of outsiders versus insiders, with Chubai's head at the bottom. Touched and perhaps a little flustered by her emotional outburst, he makes his decision. He declares that he'll go with her on this trip, reasoning that everything is already a mess anyway. Feng Wuyou peeks at him from behind some foliage, her expression grateful and hopeful. As they stand together, ready to depart, she turns to him with a sweet smile, thanking him and telling him that he is really kind. A thought then strikes her and she looks at him curiously, mentioning that, by the way, she still doesn't know his name. He explains that after he woke up on the mountain, he followed the Lingzhu Taoist, but he never had a name. A brilliant idea lights up Feng Wuyu's face. With a determined point of her finger, she announces that she will name him, proposing the name Chubai. Chubai is visibly taken aback, letting out a small sound of surprise. Internally, his mind races, a bead of sweat forming as he wonders if she could have possibly figured something out. Feng Wuyou enthusiastically explains her choice, stating that Chu is the surname of the Snake Clan leader, making it a very noble surname. She then proudly asks him what he thinks, calling it a great name. She giggles with delight while Chubai, hiding his inner turmoil, laughs along and agrees that he thinks it's a nice name too. Her eyes narrow slightly, her thoughts revealing a sharp intellect as she muses that for him to dare to use the same surname as the leader. It seems this little snake isn't an ordinary snake at all. Their journey takes them to the ominous thunderstorm forest. The sky is a roiling mass of dark, foreboding clouds, and the trees are gnarled, skeletal figures against the gloom. Feng Wuyou looks around, remarking that this must be the forest the old man mentioned. Suddenly, a brilliant blue bolt of lightning streaks down from the sky. Chubai shouts a warning for her to be careful, instinctively grabbing her and pulling her out of harm's way just as the lightning strikes the ground where she stood. The impact shatters the earth, sending shards of rock and energy flying. The shock of the event triggers something within Feng Wuyou. Her eyes widen, a flicker of a forgotten memory surfacing. As rain begins to fall, she sees a vision, a flash of a past self, her long hair whipping around her as she faces a terrifying force. The memory fragment floods her mind. She questions if it could be that she went through a heavenly tribulation 2 years ago. She gasps, her hand flying to her head as she sweats, her face pale with shock and confusion from the sudden jarring memory. Chu Bai, seeing her distress, begins to explain the legend that the ancient divine beast Niu could summon control thunder, suggesting they should take a step back and think of a strategy before acting. He then notices her state, his voice laced with concern as he asks what's wrong with her. Feng Wuyou, panting heavily, stumbles and leans against his chest for support, unable to speak. At that moment, the sky darkens further and lightning arcs across the clouds with a deafening boom. Chu Bai's expression becomes grim as he realizes lightning is about to strike again. With a look of intense resolve, he murmurs an apology, "Forgive me," and in one swift motion, he scoops her up into his arms, holding her protectively against his chest. And the sky erupts. Another thunderous boom echoes through the forest as lightning tears through the clouds. Chu Bai holds Feng Wuyou tightly, yelling her name, "Feng Wuyou," trying to snap her out of her daze as a massive bolt of lightning crashes down towards them. He shouts at her to wake up quickly, warning that they are about to be struck. He holds her limp form, his face a mask of urgency and worry as the world around them is illuminated by the blinding flash. Within her mind, Feng Wuyou is lost in a vision of a serene woman with long brown hair, meditating peacefully amidst crackling blue energy, her red eyes glowing with power. Chu Bai's desperate voice cuts through the vision, once again yelling her name and threatening to throw her off if she doesn't wake up. A deafening boom and a flash of lightning right beside them finally jolt her back to reality, her eyes snapping open wide with shock. Relieved, Chu Bai murmurs that she's finally awake as they stand amidst the dust and debris of the latest strike. A moment later, the tension breaks in the most unexpected way. A Chibai version of Feng Wuyou looks up at a confused Chu Bai, and then with a sudden thwack, she pops open a large purple umbrella, hitting him squarely in the face. He recoils, his face contorted in comedic rage with angry marks pulsing on his forehead as he accuses her of setting him up. She retorts with a pout, claiming it was because he was too close. She then explains that the object is a lightning shield umbrella that expands to protect them, urging him to grab on if he doesn't want to get struck. Though he skeptically questions if such a tiny umbrella can truly block the lightning, he complies. She instructs him that it needs spiritual power to maintain, so he must hurry and give it some. He places his hand on the handle, his fingers glowing with ethereal blue energy as he channels his power, adding that he still has a few talismans to enhance its power and telling her to wait while he sticks them on. Feng Wuyou holds a talisman at the ready, her expression determined. Just then, a colossal bolt of lightning descends with a deafening crash, striking the umbrella directly with a massive boom. The aftermath is less than impressive. Chu Bai stands there, an angry tick on his forehead, holding the now broken and smoking handle of the umbrella, looking utterly unimpressed as he asks who said this umbrella was useful. Feng Wuyou, looking slightly sheepish, reassures him not to worry, explaining that the lightning strike happened because the umbrella simply didn't have enough spiritual power. With a cheerful, confident smile, she declares she has an even bigger one. Rummaging through her sleeves, she triumphantly presents a large, vibrant red umbrella, shouting for him to look. As she presents the new umbrella, a faint clicking sound is heard. Chu Bai glances down, his eyes widening slightly as he sees the red bracelet on her wrist. His blood jade bracelet has cracked. A wave of panic hits Feng Wuyou as she exclaims that the blood jade bracelet cracked. Internally, Chu Bai's thoughts are cold and calculating. He knows the bracelet is made from an ancient Nuwa stone and that there's no way a single lightning strike could break it. The truth dawns on him. Feng Wuyou is wearing a fake bracelet, confirming that she has been cautious around him for a while. Oblivious to his thoughts, Feng Wuyou turns to him with an apologetic expression, saying she's sorry that the bracelet broke and promising to give him another treasure when they get home to make up for it. She quickly changes the subject, pointing ahead and asking if he has spotted the lightning attractor stone by the way. His gaze follows hers, his expression unreadable behind his mask. He confirms that it's over there in the deepest part of the thunderstorm forest. A view of the forest reveals the stone, a dark, crystalline object pulsating with purple energy atop a rock pedestal, drawing arcs of lightning towards it. Feng Wuyou confidently states they can use her red umbrella to get there. Chu Bai, ever observant, produces a small glowing pill, offering it to her. He explains it's a spirit-replenishing pill that can help her recover some of her exhaustive spiritual power, assuring her that once they get the lightning attractor stone and leave, she'll be fine. As she accepts, both are lost in their own thoughts. Chu Bai reflects that Feng Wuyou has no memories of the past and is not from the same clan, so her caution is understandable. He then admits to himself that he had also wanted to kill her so they could call it even. Meanwhile, Feng Wuyou thinks that ever since they entered the secret realm, Chu Bai hasn't abandoned her even in dangerous moments. She concludes that even if he has some ulterior motive, it doesn't seem like he wants to kill her outright. As they get closer, Chu Bai announces they've arrived. Feng Wuyou feels the overwhelming power, noting that the closer they get to the stone, the stronger the lightning becomes. Chu Bai observes that it seems all the lightning in the forest operates through the stone, and if they take it, the lightning might stop. As the sky rumbles ominously, he turns to her, his expression serious, and asks how many talismans they have left. Her face is filled with anxiety as she holds up her last one, admitting there's just one. She adds that if this doesn't work, they're going to get struck down. He leans in close, their faces mere inches apart, the stormy sky reflected in his intense eyes, and he softly asks if she's willing to take the risk. A brilliant, fearless smile lights up her face as she looks up at him, a boom of thunder echoing around them. She confidently asks him what there is to fear. United in their purpose, they stand under the red umbrella's protection as Chu Bai reaches out and firmly grasps the glowing purple lightning stone. With a final, massive boom, he plucks it from the rock. The chaotic energy dissipates and a gentle, clear light breaks through the clouds. They did it, they look at each other, relief and triumph shared between them, but their victory is short-lived. Feng Wuyu's expression suddenly turns sharp as she warns that someone is coming. A figure appears through the mist, it's the old man. He has effortlessly intercepted the stone, catching it in his hand. Chu Bai demands to know why the old man sent them if he wanted the stone, pointing out that with his strength it would have been easy for him to get it himself and then snatch it. The old man smirks, examining the stone in his hand. He explains that the lightning in the forest grows stronger against more powerful opponents, so having the two of them pave the way saved him a great deal of energy. Realizing they've been used and are outmatched, Chu Bai tells Feng Wuyou that the old man is too strong and they should leave immediately. He quickly asks her how many spirit-replenishing pills she has left. She holds out a small pouch, her wide eyes showing her remaining stash. Chu Bai declares that it's enough, takes the entire pouch from her and consumes all the pills in one go. His power visibly surges. He turns to a stunned Feng Wuyou, his gaze filled with unwavering resolve, and tells her to wait a moment. He will go get the inner core for her. Her eyes widen, a mix of shock, awe, and hope shining within them as he prepares to face their powerful foe for her sake.